set, yeah.
All right. So, welcome everyone to podcast number 5. I came up with this idea, and the general idea of this podcast is discuss issues in the community, and today's topic is the infamous VR search. So, yeah, we have a few different things to talk about today. But first, I'm gonna let everyone introduce themselves. I already introduced myself. So,
Hello guys, I'm Emil. You guys should know me from the custom track scene. I have a lot of custom track records. I play online, I do YouTube, all that stuff. I've been a long time worldwide player as well, so I believe that my contributions to today's topic will be very helpful in that. And finally, we have a guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
All right. I'm Erratic. I'm kind of new to the community. Like I started in around February, March. But yeah, I've been live streaming Mario Kart, and I think it's a good. I mean, I was invited to do this. I'm looking forward to it. Worldwides are pretty interesting, and I think it'd be good to kind of optimize how you're matched against other people.
yeah. So we have Erratic here today because we wanted some input, a point of perspective from a newer player. Because lately we've had players who just have been experienced on here as guests, and we wanted to have a new take on things. So, yeah. So our first main topic is the current matchmaking algorithm, and we're basically just going to talk about this big post that Lezerat made. So I'm going to link that post to you guys, and we can read through it. So Lezerat is saying that the matchmaking doesn't ignore VR. I'm not sure if that's true, but he's saying it takes into consideration both the stability of the available rooms and the VR. If you have 9,000 VR and there's a stable room with 9,000 VR and a stable room with 4,000 VR, you'll get into the room with 9,000 VR. However, most of the time, the 9,000 VR room is not stable because 5 people have already joined at the last minute. The reason why all this was working better on the official servers was because there was way more rooms available and joining players automatically spread out over multiple of them instead of all trying to cram into one room. What CGGP is doing isn't that much better, according to Lezerat. It tries to consider VR at the beginning, but WeanFi doesn't allow them into the VR room because it's unstable. Then you have multiple clients searching, all disabling VR at roughly the same time, who then crash the small VR room. Had these clients not had that 60-second waiting ignored, the server would have placed them into the low VR room at different times. Then they wouldn't have crashed the small VR room. So, my take on this is basically, I didn't know that there was some kind of priority list, that stability was first, then VR. It doesn't seem like that's the case right now. It seems like anyone can get into any room, but maybe this is some recent, or maybe this has always been the case. I don't know. If stability is the main problem, then instead of focusing on, well, VR restricted search by itself, we should focus on improving stability. But yeah, what's your guys' take on what Lezerat said?
Personally, what I think about Lezerat's post is that I can see where he's coming from, but then the first thing I thought of when I was reading through that was how you would say old worldwide rooms, because obviously you're gonna have a lot of people trying to join each other in, back on NWFC as well. That's how you get such amazing rooms that you used to see on YouTube, all that stuff back in the days. Like, you wouldn't, like, it, I wouldn't say it's definitely a stability thing. Like, it definitely, and now, okay, sorry, I kind of went off that train a little bit. Let me reconnect real quick. About today's VR search, I feel like there is a thing that it's trying to prioritize VR first, at least for CTGP clients. That's what I feel like so far.
Oh yeah,
I
for
feel
CTGP,
like outside of
yeah,
CTGP clients.
yeah, outside of CGGP, I don't know if it's actually considering VR at all, but he's claiming that it does. but first it's prioritizing stability.
I mean, for
Exactly.
me, the other day I was worldwiding because I just do it randomly sometimes, and I just joined a regular worldwide, and I played it, and I had like 7.58K because I don't really worldwide too often.
Okay.
And I joined the room, and the first room that it had me join was one with like three people who had and 5K, and like everyone else only had like 6K. So it didn't feel like it was really matchmaking to the point where I was having a challenge because every race I would just be front running by 15 seconds. So
So, how many other rooms were available at the time, if you remember?
there's probably like 7 or 8, maybe 9, because
There was like
it
nine
was like
different
it was during a
rooms.
peak. Mm-hmm.
Um,
For
like I'm not gonna expect you to remember this, but like if you remember the connection fail of any of those rooms, like maybe it's prioritizing based on like lowest connection fail, right? And so
mm-hmm.
for whatever
I wouldn't be
reason,
surprised at that.
the lowest connection fail is the one with the lowest rating. So
It's kind of funny how that works.
yeah, it's because the better players, those rooms, people like to rapid join them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, this this
I
this
think Confel was high. It was high. I remember, like in every room though, because like all the rooms were laggy.
yeah.
Hmm.
this
But
this leads into the next point. Do you prefer room stability or do you prefer an even skilled match?
personally, I would prefer an even skill because like it's worldwides aren't really fun when I'm ahead
Yeah,
by like 10 seconds every race. It's
me
just
too.
like feels like a time trial.
Yeah,
Personally.
I would prefer a more evenly skilled room than stability. I'd rather not be put into any room at all and wait
Mm.
until a good room opens.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's kind of where the join a friend in worldwides comes into. But
Yeah, this is why like I barely play worldwides or CT worldwides nowadays. If you like know me, I'm usually playing worldwides with either Russo X and Luke, or maybe like my friends in Star Clan, because like we all love playing like at the later times because we know we can get our own room with like a lot of higher VR players, especially since we
yeah,
usually play CTs, and like it'll definitely like we'll fill up most of the room, and that's when it's the most fun because
hmm
everyone's like very similar in skill level and knows what they're doing. That way the races aren't like boring 15-second breakaways in first place and then half the room getting timed out or something like that. That's like,
yeah,
and then room stability, it's like it's I can understand that it does a lot, but like even skill is much more important in terms of
Yeah,
like how having like enjoyment throughout this game.
exactly. We'll cover like the specifics of what happens in those kinds of rooms. Right now, we're just being very on the surface about it, but we'll go more into detail about
hmm
how imbalanced those rooms are.
yeah.
But yeah, would you rather have it so that you wait longer to find a room at the chance of maybe not finding any room at all, but you're going to be guaranteed an even skilled room even if you have to wait longer?
I would prefer that
Okay,
personally.
yeah, me too. Like I would
Yeah, I
rather,
prefer
like,
the
if I had
one.
to wait 3 minutes and okay, and if I don't find anything, but I could also find a good room within that 3 minutes, it's like, yeah, I'll wait 3 minutes. It's no big
Yeah,
deal because
and then
I want an enjoyable experience.
mhm. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like it's kind of iffy though because some streamers do worldwide sometimes.
Yeah, they
And it's
do.
like they want to play with other people. I don't know. I have a kind of an idea on how
I,
maybe like a worldwide should be, but we
well,
could probably
I
talk about
feel
that
like
later.
streamers should start utilizing, I guess, the friends list more, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Or even
Yeah.
whitelist. We'll talk more about open host later, um,
Hmm.
and its potential uh, problem with stability. I say potential because there's no statistical evidence presented yet about open host like crashing rooms and whatnot. This is just a theory. Uh, anyways, the next point is CGGP's algorithm better? than what we have for regulars.
Um,
I don't really know, honestly.
from what I've seen, it does prioritize VR first. Because what I tend to notice is that I've done some experimenting on this myself. What I've noticed from my trends of looking for both CTs and regs, actually, this was more on regs than on CTs. It's more based on a timer, which I like. It pushes to have VR search. So what I looked for, I actually had a friend in a worldwide, and I was watching the status of the room. So they were on the voting screen.
Hmm.
So what I would do, I would
Mm,
wait until the track, like the voting, whatever it is, started to move, and pick a track. Then I clicked on join a friend, and the way I figured, and I tried doing this a few times. So times where I did it earlier, it would actually like wait much longer and then put me into a lower skilled room when I was searching randomly. And then when I timed it just right, it would actually, take less time obviously and then put me into a room with, the person I'm trying to join. This is why I believe like the CTGP algorithm is better because it actually prioritizes VR over stability, whereas like, in comparison to what Lezerat was saying on his post. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
I feel the same way, kind of. Where when I'm trying to join like a CTWW, it usually takes longer than when I'm joining regs. Because when you join a reg worldwide, it's almost within 30 seconds you're in one.
yeah.
Sometimes when I'm trying to join a CT worldwide, it takes 1 to 2 minutes, and I'm with people around like within 1,000 of the VR, not like a 3,000 VR difference.
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like CGGP's algorithm is better. I still think it could be improved though.
Mhm.
In my opinion, the timer is a bit short. Um,
Yeah.
some people still think that there shouldn't be a timer at all. It should be if you uh, if there's no rooms that are within your range, then you just don't find a room. Because
Mhm.
let's be real here. I don't know. If I was a new player, right, I'd want to find a room where I'd have a chance, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Exactly.
I feel like it would be better for new players if they are
Hmm.
basically brick walled two rooms for their skill range, because then
Hmm.
I
there's not
agree.
this massive skill gap. Like once you have a big enough skill gap, improvement doesn't happen because I don't know how to explain it like in specific, but when there's just too big of a skill gap, uh, you don't really learn anything new. You have to have someone
Exactly.
about your same level just to like learn something new, to learn from.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, like coming from a new player's perspective, I feel like the same way. Where when I was trying, like I'm still trying to get better at the game, but like I kind of have a grasp of it now.
Hmm.
But what it's oh shoot, what was I gonna say? It's like sometimes when I would get into those higher VR rooms, it would be a little bit overwhelming to where I'm in bottom three, bottom four the whole time, and it's like it kind of takes away what would be fun of worldwiding to the point where I wouldn't want to play the game because some people I've seen like some newer people, for example, like Troy's fans. After he
Hmm.
made that video, there was like all the huge insurgence of new people playing the game. It
Yeah.
was to the point
Mhm.
where everyone playing, they would sometimes get into higher VR rooms because there were so many of the low VR rooms. And so when I was in rooms with those people, you could tell that like they were struggling. And so it's like I can kind of see where they would come from saying I'm not enjoying it, I wouldn't want to play it. And it's basically like every other game
Hmm.
too. Like if there's a
Yeah.
bad update, you don't want to continue playing until the update gets patched or until something else gets fixed. So
I think one thing I can agree with here, I think I see Zach posted in my chat. He said If it's the middle of the night and there's only 20 people online, just disable VR search. I think this. I don't know what exactly to think of this idea. What do you guys think about this proposal?
I think it depends. I think if there's only enough players for, let's say, 2 or 3 rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a really small amount of players online, like under 100, then yeah, sure, disable it. That's where this idea of like dynamic VR search comes in, and we'll talk more about that one later. But it's a good idea. Like I agree with it. It's better than not being able to find a room at all when the player base at the time is pretty small. But
Yeah.
I feel like we're regularly over 100, even at like 3 in the morning, especially on weekends. So
Oh yeah.
it would be rare. It would be rare. Like a majority of the time, we should have VR search on. Like
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. But
It
yeah,
should
like
be based on like a player count.
we kind of
on the
segued to
server.
the next topic, which was the best algorithm, and
Yeah.
I think the best algorithm is like you have a wall. The players only play with people around their skill level, but if there isn't enough players online, sure, disable the wall, right?
We need to build a wall.
Exactly, the wall. Like, you know what? Like,
A big, beautiful wall.
what I'm gonna do is when we're done with this podcast, I'm just gonna like straight up like I don't know, just share the link to this podcast on Twitter, and then have the caption be "the wall" in all caps. So yeah.
It's gonna be huge.
Anyways,
Yeah. I think that blocking some people from joining certain rooms would be good.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Because they're guaranteed to play with people around their skill level. And they'll get into better rooms as they ascend their
exactly.
the ranks. So if they want to get into a high VR room, then earn your high VR, Like then VR
Exactly.
has more of a purpose. It's always good to have a system have more of a purpose.
Countess just experienced this again. He just joined a room and the VRs are 5.4, 8.2, 9.2, 5.7, 6.4, and another 5.7.
Yeah, like
Yikes.
I have
Just now.
no clue. Like I don't think VR is being considered that strongly if you're getting
Yeah.
rooms like that. Can we take a picture of that room really quick?
Oh yeah, he linked it in my chat. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, post that
I'll
in the
put it in
Discord. I'm gonna post in
Yeah,
my
I'll put
chat
that
as
here.
well.
There's that.
All right. And I also want to just like look at these ratings right now.
Yeah.
So this is
Um,
a CT Worldwide. So
Is it? Oh shoot, it
yeah,
is.
this is a CT
Wow.
Worldwide. So like
That's
I
even
was
more surprising.
yeah, like I was saying, like CGGP's algorithm is not perfect because this can still happen. That's why I think
Yeah.
the wall is the way.
Yeah.
So
696.
we've
I
got
have it.
54528234 5221 9872 5783 641 25784. Like I don't. Maybe this is the only CT Worldwide room because like CTWWs, there's not as many as like regular tracks. But
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? Like that's the thing. Like we'd have to consider the different track types, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Yes.
you only have blank amount of people searching for CTWW, then yeah, I guess it makes sense to disable the wall. But if you have like at least 2 to 3 rooms worth, right? Like for regular tracks,
Yeah.
it would probably be a higher something limit, but for CTs, like 2 rooms, right? Turn VR search on the wall. Anyways, the next main topic we have is the demand for VR search. So
Mm-hmm.
the first like sub point of this is there is this elitism misconception that us experienced players want to block out new players or people with low VR because we don't want to play with them.
That is a huge misconception.
It's
I'd like to speak on that.
yeah, that is a huge misconception. It's not that we only want to play with our friends or people around our skill level. Well, actually, people who are experienced, right?
It's something. It's something along the lines of that.
It's something
but what I feel
along the
we're trying to
lines,
get
but that's
to-
not the main goal here. The main goal is we want players to have a more enjoyable experience. And
Exactly. Yeah.
this applies to everyone. New players, us, the veterans. It's not as fun when you're just getting destroyed. Like,
It's also not as fun when you have people who are kind of holding power items and you're trying to play
Yeah,
a race
yeah.
in a certain way because they don't know what to do.
yeah, it's.
Oh,
We'll go
yeah,
into like the item unbalance soon. We'll go into.
I think
that.
we forgot. I think we need to. I completely forgot about this myself, but I think this definitely needs to be touched on.
Okay.
Considering this is like exactly what we needed. If you remember, Made, there was one thing that we had going at one point that is an exact living proof of the elitism misconception, and that would be the region, the pro lounge region that we have.
Yeah, okay, so the reason we made the Pro Lounge region is because it seemed like VR Search was falling on deaf ears. And we wanted rooms where it was more evenly skilled. Now, to do this, we had to keep it a little bit exclusive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there wasn't any system blocking players outside of the range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pro Lounge didn't last very long because it requires revolution, and we want the anti-cheat features of CTGP, obviously. So
Exactly.
it didn't last long at all. Now, if there was a way to have a custom region through CTGP, that'd be freaking huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
Countess. That's pretty. Yeah, Countess. This is all some good points. But that anti-cheat system you were talking about, that's definitely something that was very needed because I remember there were some people. I'm not gonna name names, but I will just let you know. There were some people that were able to use static r.rel and were simply able to, manipulate their way into the region because, apparently it was a very public fact what region the Pro Lounge was according to the list of regions that was available.
Yes.
And along with that,
Like if
there was,
someone knew how to patch their static r.rel, they would have gotten in, right?
yeah, exactly. That's definitely one reason why that didn't last very long
Yeah,
at all.
that
Because
one-
people kept getting
Yeah.
weaker players in, and then there was also the fact that I think Countess. This is another valid point from Countess. You had to be a part of the quote unquote. I think this guy's good club.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
was a bit biased, and
And wasn't this based off of the opinions of like some Division 1 players?
it was like Division 1, Division 2.
I didn't. Was there Division 2? It felt like it was mainly.
there was some D2 in there. There was some D2 in there.
Oh, okay. It felt a little bit more like it was like that CBRE, all those top Division 1.
It wasn't just D1, but it was around that. It was around that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The fact that I got it says a lot.
But yeah, the elitism misconception is the idea that we hate inexperienced players. We don't hate them. We just think that they deserve to be in a more evenly skilled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they also mess up the environment for us. So
I think
They
I can
do.
speak a little bit more.
the
on
environment
that
is
real
messed
quick.
up on both sides.
I think I can elaborate a little bit on this real quick. Obviously, the experienced player is going to want to play with other experienced players. That is very true. We have covered that already. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you're a new player, what's the first thing you're going to want to do? You're going to want to gain experience. How are you going to gain experience if you have no idea what the top level players are doing? Like, if you get matched with these top players, they're going to be breaking away, doing things that you probably don't know about. and you're just going to be sitting there confused, not knowing what exactly to do. In order to build up that experience, you need to be with people that are similar to you in skill level so that you can see where you can improve first of all and then build upon that. At a certain point, you'll become experienced enough. You'll be building that little bridge where you'll be able to contest with top players. This was the journey I remember experiencing. For example,
Me too.
I was playing in 2008. I played with heavy me on the off-roader, and I was getting, and I never got in high level rooms, so I was like, okay, the off-roader is going to be a very good combo. So I got the off-roader up to like 7.5k VR. I remember that, and then after that, I started seeing these higher level players, and that's when I realized that inward drifting bikes were the way to go. That's the kind of bridge that I think that we should see, that we should try to like construct for lower players. This is how like we're gonna build up lower players so that they'll be able to work their way up to be able to match up against top players. That's just what I think about all of that.
No,
And that's kind of where I'm going right now, to be honest. Like, I'm not exactly at that top level, but I'm also not at the bottom level. I'm trying to climb my way up there. So like playing with people around the same skill level as me would directly benefit me and pretty much everyone else in the room or whatever I'm playing with, because I'm learning and so are they. It's not just one person who's totally skilled just zoom.
yeah. In my opinion, you learn the most when you're facing someone who is just a little bit above you
Yeah.
in any competitive experience. You get the most out of it when they're just a bit more like they're the perfect difficulty basically.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, now our next subtopic is I made a survey about VR search about who's interested in it. Like I wanted to get the actual facts on the majority of players who wants it, right? So 800 participants, over 800, participated in this survey. And there were a few questions, but the main question, do you want VR search in regular track worldwides, like how C2GP has it in CTWWs? And over 700 people said they want it. And the statistics for these 700 people were across the entire VR spectrum. The majority was the 6,000 to like 7,000 range. That was the majority.
Yeah.
Us, the experienced players, we were in the minority. So it's not just us who want VR search. It's everybody. The majority
Exactly.
want it. The average players want it. Like I saw some of the 4,000 and 3,000 voting for yes as well. So
Really?
I can understand that. Yeah.
I can't
the,
too. Yeah.
the inexperienced players want this. The experienced players want this. It's not just us. It's not just about us, about experienced players being elitists. It's not about that. The next thing on the survey was this question about a dynamic VR search system, and we touched a little bit about that already, but let's go more into it. So like a dynamic VR search system would work, whereas like I guess as you climb the ranks, the range of who you find would get smaller, and as your rank is lower, the range of who you find is bigger. I feel like that's a good system. Because I feel like more people are within like the same skill range with a bigger range of VR, but the skill range differs a lot when you start getting near the top. So lowering the VR range, it helps match up the skill gaps better. I don't know how to articulate it, but like that's like the gist of what I'm getting at.
Yep. I got another example of a worldwide room. I just posted that in the chat. You can see
Let me see
just
this.
how widespread VR can get in rooms.
Yeah, we have a
3K coming in seventh.
3,372. Yeah,
Coming in seventh place, by the way.
That's insane.
it was
Like
Desert Hills.
that difference.
Desert Hills.
True.
You know,
Luck track.
most people can win on Desert Hills.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's just an extreme example. I haven't seen an example like that in a while.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
seeing someone in Worldwide lose like 600 VR. I don't remember who it was, but I'm seeing that
Jeez.
picture.
What do you
Which was
guys what do you guys think about the idea of a dynamic system where the range is smaller as you climb?
I like that.
I like that
I
idea.
think it's
Definitely
good,
should be
yeah.
a lot smaller. As you like, progress through the
Mhm,
roadway, it
yeah.
should definitely decrease. Like,
Like
I don't know how, like to what extent it should decrease. It's like the highest gap that there should be that for anything would be maybe 700 or 800
you
like,
mean
plus or
lowest gap?
or or lowest gap. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is because like it feels like
I feel like the biggest gap should be 2,000.
biggest gap.
Yeah,
Well,
but between like 3K and
the
5K
problem. Okay,
because they're
I
about
mean,
they're about similar.
yeah, but okay then that makes sense. Like these little these little gaps that you should get. Okay, I get what you're saying. My bad. Yeah, I was trying to like go for like how much if you like have a host of the room, how much should what the limit should be for going above that host VR or going below that host VR that should be like allowed in the room. If you get what I'm saying with that.
Yeah. My idea was it would take your VR and compare it to, I guess, the host or the majority of other people in the room. And let's say you're at quad nines. The limit could either be like 800 or 1,000, right? So if you're quad nines, you'd find people with 9K minimum or like 9.2K. 9.4K might be a stretch because that would only be like like in a range of 600. But I feel like 800 to 1,000 is the way.
I think maybe for like each kind of tier where you are,
Yeah, it'd be
like
tiered. It'd be tiered. It would be tiered. So, tier 1 or whatever, tier S, if you want to be cool, the range of like 9,000 to 999 or 9,500 to 9,999. It would have that small range of search, and then it would get bigger as the tier goes down. So that was my idea. I don't know of any other ideas people had for an algorithm, but that's what I had in mind for dynamic.
I think Zach's point 9.5 to max is too small. I like that. I agree with that personally. I think what it should be, the limit absolutely for that would be like maybe 8.75 to max maybe.
I can see that, yeah.
I feel like that would be a lot better.
'Cause people at that like 9.5 to 9 and 9.9, it's gonna be such a small minority that it's really only gonna be a 5 or 6 person worldwide at like the largest when you think about it. Because I mean, you can hack your VR to get up there, right?
I was thinking
But
people like below like 9.5 would get a range of like 1,500 instead of 1,000.
That could work. Yeah.
Like the VR range that you are would not directly mirror the search range, is what I'm saying. It would be asymmetrical. Or asynchronous. Something like that. It wouldn't directly mirror it. So like 9.5 to 5.9 would be like a range of like 1,000 or 800. Uh, 9 would be like 1,500 or 1,250. Something along those lines. Like this is just like
Uh,
these are just ideas. They're not set in stone or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my idea for tiering would probably be like 5.8K and below, and then like 5.8K to probably 7, and then like 7K to probably 8.2, and then 8.2 to maybe like 8.8, 8.9, because there's a lot of people in that range, and then it'd just be 8.9 and up, if
Yeah.
that kind of makes
No,
sense.
no, this would be a cool like discussion thread, right? Just
Yeah.
what would your ideal VR search algorithm be? And
Mhm.
people could like list like their tiers. It would be an interesting discussion thread. I kind of don't want to do a Google form for it because I feel like this is something that is more of a discussion. It's not. It's not a survey.
It's definitely not a response based thing. I can agree. It's
Yeah,
more of like definitely like
it's a discussion. So
without a doubt.
it either be like a post on the Mario Kart Wii Reddit, or the Mario Kart Reddit, or Mario Kart boards, as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's move on to the next point here. So item balance issues with VR search.
Mhm.
Without VR search. So
Power items hogged.
yeah, so you have little Johnny. He starts off with 5K. He gets in a room with let's say Emil and Shane, right? And they're destroying him. And he's just in the back, and he's getting every shock, he's getting every star, and Emil and Shane are in a room where there's a lot of blue shells, or people are spamming reds. Like they're not able to get breakaways, so they're stuck in the pack.
Mhm.
But little Johnny here keeps getting the shocks and the stars and the bullets. So Emil and Shane can't catch up. They can't break out of the pack. They can't catch up to whoever broke out of the pack already. That's what happens in rooms without VR search. You have the people with the lowest VR in the back taking all the power items, and it results in it being difficult to get out of the pack, hard to catch up to first place, who's already broken out, and the rooms become very one-sided. Once you're out of the pack, you're out of the pack, and you win. Rooms become stagnant. You know who's going to win very soon, and they're not really dynamic, right? You don't know. It's not unpredictable anymore. Whereas when the items are balanced, most people in the room have a chance of winning, because people can hold the shock, and a really well-timed shock in a worldwide will get you a good
Is
spot.
very important.
It will get you a good spot.
Yeah.
The right time dodge item will get you a good spot. Bullet bills are crazy good for catching up. But when those in the back who don't know how to use said power items keep taking them, the room just it stays stagnant. Like there's not much else I can say about it. I know there's players who can be more specific about how the rooms go when you have a mix of VR. And now's the time for them to express their thoughts. You guys too, your experiences.
Yeah, one of my viewers here says that we were talking RNG than skill, but that's kind of a misconception too. Like your RNG can be manipulated, right? So say you can you starting first on a track, you kind of bag at the first boxes, and then you pull a bullet bill. then you could probably just use it, kind of predict where they're gonna shock or where they're gonna try and TS a top spot. Use it, then you dodge, then you can go up. RNG isn't like it's not kind of set in some other games. You can manipulate it to where you want it, or to have it to where you can directly benefit from it, if you know what I mean.
I like what
Yeah.
you said because it allows me to say this. The item system in this game is manipulatable, right? You can really benefit from manipulating it. But when you have players who are always in the back and they're taking those very powerful items away from you, it's a lot harder to manipulate the item roulette, and it's a less enjoyable experience for everybody. Because those in the pack, they're going to stay in the pack. They're not catching up. The person in first, they're not going to have much of a challenge either, except for maybe like spam blue shells.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like, I've had my fair share worldwide, so I think I've had experiences from both sides of the spectrum. Without VR search, I can say that I can admit that I've had my times as little Johnny himself, especially
Yep.
back in the early days. I remember I'm reading all this stuff in chat, and I'm remembering doing I remember doing all this stuff back then. For example, like just dodging people in cannons. Oh baby, that was a big one. Dodging like top spots in cannons, giving them a big old breakaway.
Yeah, that will happen. Like, players who don't know what to do with the shock, they'll just spam it. They won't chain it. They'll
Yeah.
literally spam it. And it will result in players ahead getting benefits that they shouldn't get.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's definitely one huge thing that goes with that.
And that
For
can
sure.
that can get annoying for everyone in the room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then at that point, if someone in like first or second dodges, then they're gone even farther ahead,
Mhm.
and it's like at that point you really can't catch up. It's near impossible unless you chain bullet bills and goldens and blues and stuff like that. Then it's possible, but it's difficult. Like spam shocks kind of just take away from the whole experience of what worldwide should be.
Yeah,
For
spam
sure.
shocks, and also just hogging the bullet bills, just hogging the power items in general. Uh, the the worldwide ecosystem is supposed to be about the unpredictable, crazy moments where like anybody has a chance to get in the top 6, and that's
Yep.
not possible when the power items aren't available to every player.
I like what Larry's saying. I'm gonna ask him to elaborate a little bit. Larry is saying that little Johnny makes worldwides fun. Oh, and he also has a point. They mass DC way more than they do on NWFC. That's also one thing to take into account. They do. I've definitely seen that a lot more. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like constantly like taking different stuff, but like I think these are like all good points.
For sure. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Larry, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense. If I wanted to play, yeah, Larry says if I wanted to play competitive, I'd hop in a private room or get my buddies to join a worldwide.
Well, here's the thing, Larry. There's players who don't really want to do the really sweaty, try-hard Mogi Lounge. There's players who want to play competitive casual, and Worldwides are the perfect venue for that. And when you have these players who are messing with the item balance, it's not as fun for those players who want just a competitive casual experience. Like with Mogi Lounge, the whole idea is to play the best you can play. It's not laid back really. Like you can be laid back at times, but like that's not the point. The point of Mogi Lounge is to earn MMR and to climb the ranks. With Worldwides, like, yes, there's the VR system, but like, I don't know, it's not as much of a big deal as MMR. You can be more laid back in Worldwides, and players who want a more enjoyable experience, I don't think they want this unbalanced item ecosystem that comes from the lack of VR search.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be a toggle, to be honest. The VR search in like CTGP settings. That might be interesting.
That wouldn't work because
Really?
those who
Feels
have
like
it
it should be in
turned
the
off, yeah, those who have it turned off will be able to get in, right?
Yeah, I feel like that should just be like
That's-
It has to be forced. It has to
Mhm.
for it to work.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely. Like, it feels like you could add that sort of script into the coding and to like how it works. Like, you could probably make like some sort of like command just says like if you have this VR, try to look for others and something like that. Something along the lines of that. I feel like that would work pretty well.
There was one thing that I wanted to talk about besides the item balance issue, but it kind of slipped my mind. Ugh.
Oh. Well, okay, and if it slipped your mind,
But there is another thing I can talk about. It's related to the
there's
survey.
another thing.
It is related
Yeah,
to the survey.
Ooh, okay.
You know, we have a majority of players who want it, and there was also a question about: do you feel like rooms are just right, too easy, or too hard? A majority of players said either too easy or too hard. So the current system is not optimal right now because a majority of players are saying that it isn't right. They're saying it's either too easy or too hard for them, and it should be tweaked so that it feels just right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, that's a problem
I can definitely
we're gonna
see
address
that.
a little bit later, Larry. We'll get to that in just a bit.
What problem?
Also, what if you just add someone in the room who has high VR, then you get in without VR search?
Yeah.
I think we all know where that's going. Yep.
We'll be talking about that.
Oh, and then
Friend rooms.
and then another thing is what happens if a player is on a brand new license?
Well, if a player's on a brand new license, then you know they'll eventually get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
They should just have to like work their way up.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that difficult to work their way up through
Yeah.
the packs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And they can just simply just like
like
you know.
I don't think
Boy,
players.
wait.
I don't think players on new licenses should invalidate the argument that VR search is needed.
Yeah.
I don't think it should because it's not something that's that common. And even if you have the one-off room with a player just trying to grind their VR back up to quads, only having one player breakaway is not as bad as having like half the room
Yeah.
I agree,
or like a quarter of the room. Like some of these races on certain tracks, you have like 3 players all the way up there, another 3 players like just off in the weeds, and then another 3 players they're just they're you don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, they're like
Straight back.
the gap between them on the mini map is just like what, and some of them even get lapped, and it's like no.
I've lapped people in Worldwides before. At that point, it's like, it's sad.
Yeah, if people are getting lapped, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There is a problem. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else the issue was besides item balance, but like maybe it'll come to me, but
Oh shoot! Counts as another picture.
maybe we
Okay.
can maybe we can start talking about open host.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree with that.
here's the problem with open host being a thing for worldwides. We talked about stability earlier, and open host makes it easier to join rooms. Well, when it's easier to join a room, it's easier to join a room fast. It's easier to have a bunch of people join the room at once. And with how WeMFi handles NAT negotiation right now, it's very easy for a room to crash if a lot of people are joining at once. In my opinion, open host for worldwide shouldn't have been a thing. Or at least it should have been restricted to whitelist only. Open host for private rooms is amazing. It makes events happen so much faster. Like, keep it for private rooms, obviously, but for worldwides, I don't think it should have been a thing. On Wi-Fi connection, when people join through the friend list, I feel like it was at a slower pace than through OpenHost, because people had to, first of all, both people had to have the same friend code, right? Both people had to exchange friend codes. So you have a smaller pool of players joining into that room, as in the amount of people who have whoever's added in the room.
What the heck?
Mutually.
One of my viewers, sorry to backtrack, but one of my viewers said there's also a thing where people are really good at regs, but that they suck at like custom tracks.
Yes,
that would also be a problem for
that is a thing. But
at that point, I'm gonna start blaming the player for not being able to keep up, because honestly, one of the best ways to improve a custom, okay, this is gonna go a little bit off topic, but this is just like to address this. One of the best ways to improve at custom tracks is to first of all time trial the tracks. That is one thing that you very much need to do if you're gonna have like a better chance of staying in top spots or keeping up with the pack on CTs. It's so important that you practice the tracks.
My opinion on being able to just relatively keep up in CT Worldwides is, if you already know how to play regular tracks and you have the basic game mechanics down for regular tracks, picking up CTs is not going to be that difficult if you time trial. Like,
it's almost like playing an instrument too. It's kind of like sight reading. Like you've never seen a piece of music before, but if you know how to play music and you know how to read music,
exactly,
you'll be able to get to it at
exactly,
like not at a top level the first time, but you should be able to figure out.
Yeah,
like
you should be able to hold your own on CTs. If you know how to play the game regularly, you just hit up time trials. Now, some tracks are going to give you problems if you've never seen them before. Like, obviously, I don't expect everyone to play every single track, and that's where just playing more is ideal. Like, even if you get bodied in C2 Worldwide, just play it more, find out what you did wrong, and fix it. Or maybe you see a track in C2 Worldwide that you're unfamiliar with. Check the staff goes for it immediately after you're done C2 Worldwiding, and fix it. Just that way.
Make sure it's not melting magma melee. Then otherwise you're fine.
Yeah. Or something like Six King, and you're going backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, Six King is
no.
definitely
I think it would be ideal if we had separate ratings for CTs and RTs, but it's not. It's not necessary.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
as nice as it would be, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's essential though. It feels like the way the meta is presented for both of those tracks is so much different. It's
pretty different. Like CTs, there's a lot more driving involved, whereas with regular tracks, it's more item heavy. But like I said, if you can hold your own on regular tracks, you can hold your own on CTs. You just gotta, if you find an unfamiliar track, go into time trial and see what the optimal strats are.
And if you really can't do that, you have 4 licenses anyway, so you could just go on a 5K license and see where you land with that.
Yeah, you could always just make a separate license.
For CTs.
But
it's something I was doing at one point.
I don't think the difference between CTs and RTs would invalidate the argument for VR Surge. Just because I feel like item balance is like just a very important factor to whether you enjoy the room or not. Because if
Yeah.
you're unable to catch up, if you're stuck in the pack, or if you're front running without any kind of challenge whatsoever, then you're gonna get bored. And
Yep.
like, what's the point? You know?
That's facts. Yep, I can
It's like a
definitely
TT
relate.
at that point.
Yeah. For some people, it's a time trial. For other players, like in the pack, it's just like it's just complete spam, 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 spam. No one's holding their like. People aren't
Mogi
holding their
launch.
items, and some of the reasons why people aren't holding their items is because of the spammed power items in the back. They don't want to lose their dodges, so they have to spam their dodges. It prevents people from
Yeah.
holding items, and MKW is a lot more deep and fun of a game when people can hold their items. That's why item balance is so important. That's why when you play in a competitive room, like everyone's holding their items. I'm gonna turn my light on. It's getting dark.
Sure enough, man.
Okay.
But yeah, like my theory was that open host, because it enables players to join rooms at a faster pace, it causes them to crash. It's a theory.
Oh, yeah.
There's no statistical evidence backing it up.
Troy, that is very statistical evidence. What are you on about? I think Troy's early streaming days last summer are very, very, very good evidence for that type of thing, though. Because I remember when Troy was starting.
Yeah,
streaming,
I
he
didn't
was
see those
trying to do
streams.
that.
I didn't see those
Oh,
streams.
well, okay. Well, basically, here's what happened. This is why Troy now uses whitelist open host to
Okay.
do his fun rooms and
Yeah.
all that stuff. One of his first streams on YouTube was a worldwide stream,
Yeah.
and he
Oh,
had a
God.
friend code listed for everyone at his stream to add.
Uh-huh.
Let's just remember how many subs he has and
Uh-huh,
how many people
yeah.
were likely to be at the stream. So, as expected, every single time Troy got in a worldwide, the room would end up crashing within 2 or 3 minutes of that time. Zach, Zach, does that sound about right? I know Zach's in my chat right now. Zach's one of the Weem5 moderators. If you guys don't know him, Zach, I hope that's correct information that I am spewing.
Well,
Yeah, it is. There we go.
with Troy, he has a very large follower base.
Well, yeah.
So like it would make sense that like there would be just a bunch of people joining at once. But let's just say you got like someone not as big, maybe you, right?
Yeah.
Would you say if you had blacklist on, would your room crash? Because you're about the size of streamer where I feel like rapid joining would be at its tolerance limit for
I have a
Weem5.
feeling it would be right up there because what I feel like what happens sometimes. I think this happened yesterday as well. I wish Russo was at the stream so I could clarify this for them, but it doesn't matter. So I was playing a C2 Worldwide yesterday, and obviously, boys in Star Clan were joining first.
Uh-huh.
There was someone in the room with open host. I don't remember who it was, but someone had blacklist open host, and I joined the room.
Yeah.
And a little bit after that,
Someone found out.
I think so. I think some people tried joining, and then the room ended up disconnecting. I'm not sure where exactly the fault should be on that one, but I know that almost the entire room got disconnected. The room ended up. I think there were like 4 people that lived through that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like quite to the same extent of what we're trying to look for here, but it's definitely definitely along the same extent.
It would be cool if there were like system logs for Weem5 about like a certain room and how many joined through open host and how many joined regularly. And through those logs, you can see, oh, did this room crash? And if it did crash, how many were on open host? And like, if let's say 7 players joined through open host and then it crashed, that would be good evidence. I'm only gonna call this a theory. I'm not gonna call it fact, even though like you guys are claiming these experiences. This brings me to my next point. Do you think open host should be restricted to private rooms only or whitelist only for worldwides?
I like the idea of You should be able to have both options, blacklist and whitelist. I definitely think that's the case because with me personally, I'm fine with blacklist because then I'm able to decide, oh, I don't want this person joining my rooms, so let's add this person to my blacklist. And
Well,
as and then I
Hmm.
and the list can go on.
well,
Like
with
I'm fine with like
whitelist,
having
people
more
who aren't in
people.
your whitelist won't be able to join you. So you'd still have
I
that
know that, yeah.
functionality.
I know, like that's the thing. I want people to be able to join me unless I specifically don't want them. That's like my
Yeah,
mentality
no,
towards it.
I agree with that. But when you make a room so easy to join, it becomes more susceptible to crashing. So I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
if this is really the case that OpenHost is making it more easy for rooms to crash, then limiting it to either whitelist only or just disabling OpenHost for worldwides altogether would allow them to be more stable because people are joining at a less faster pace. Only people who are mutually added could join, or people who are on the whitelist. And I feel like that would increase room stability. That's just me, though.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
think maybe there should be like a cooldown. People are joining through OpenHost. So say one person joins through it, like you should
Well,
only
that
be
that's
able to have
basically
maybe
smart
one or
suspend. That's basically smart
uh
suspend. It'll block somebody from joining.
yeah, which that could directly help it or this
Yeah.
big
No,
disconnect problem.
we'll
If
talk about
7 people join,
we'll talk about smart suspend soon. CGGP has it.
okay.
Yeah. Larry, I like what you're saying here. How exactly is OpenHost making it easier for rooms to crash? It's like the reason that I believe that works like that is because when you have someone with OpenHost, there's going to be more traffic for that one room specifically.
It's a lot
You're going
easier
to
to get
be
in
able,
that room.
exactly. It's a lot easier to get in. Therefore, you're going to have more people trying to get in that room, which will
At a
cause
faster
more
pace.
traffic. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
It'll be like a lot more traffic for the host of the room and others in the room because obviously, it's peer-to-peer connections. So
Hmm.
it's going to be like a lot of these connections happening and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we're on about there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like with Nintendo WFC, when everyone just mutually added each other, the joining process was not as rapid.
Exactly.
Whoa, Larry, would you actually, bro? Dude, that's sick.
What do you bring up?
Dude, Larry, are we talking about donations, my guy? Larry, I'm down. Okay, sorry about that. That just caught me
All
off
right.
off guard because
Anyways,
I remember.
our last topic. I wish I could figure out like what I had on my mind, but like it's gone. So whatever. The next thing we have to talk about is NAT negotiation. And NAT negotiation is network address translation negotiation. So, to sum it up, I know I posted it here somewhere. It was how client to client connections break through firewalls, basically. So, with network address translation, you got like your public IP address and your private IP address, and it has to translate and whatnot. Well, with the host has to like translate their stuff through some firewalls of different peers, and that's done through NatNeg. Well, on WeMfi, NatNeg has been pretty shit. It's been pretty bad. That's why we have these room crashes more often than we did on Wi-Fi connection. Now, some players have claimed that NatNeg was not as much of an issue before March 2016. There was a lot more stability before March 2016. After March 2016, these room crashes started happening more frequently. So
Is there anything that like happened in March of 2016?
all I
Or
can
am I really
find in the
sure?
Weemfi development changelog is the Sake and Race servers. And the Sake server populates the me head on your friend roster, and it also
Mm-hmm.
keeps track of the rankings for like the main leaderboards in the game. But
Hmm.
those aren't used too much. That can be that can be another topic. Uh, the leaderboards, like most people refer to like just the CGGP leaderboards or the MK leaderboard site. They don't really look at the in-game leaderboards because they're not really moderated that well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when the Seiken race server went up, which was about the same time that uh, NatNeg started being a problem and rooms started crashing, uh, players noticed a difference. There was a big difference. Um,
Oh yeah.
Early days of Weemfi, we didn't really have too many room crashes. Actually, we didn't have
Mm.
too many.
I, I remember like the 2014 era when I was just playing for fun.
Yeah, there wasn't too
I
many room
I
crashes
actually,
back then.
from what I remember, I never had a room that crashed on me. Like,
Yeah,
and I
so
played for a good 6 8 months.
something happened with the server, and like sometimes the devs will claim that we're gaslighting, but we're not. We've had these experiences where the rooms just haven't crashed on us, and after March 2016, everything started hitting. Shit started hitting the fan, basically.
Yeah.
So
Maybe with that, there could be like a test for maybe a month or so where they get
sake.
rid of the server that they bring up. Yeah, and see how if there's less
If
room
they got rid of
crashes.
sake, if they got rid of sake, then we'd have the penguin me's again.
Ooh, yay!
Uh,
I missed those.
yeah.
Those were the
It would
good
be
times.
like it would just be maybe like a kind of test for a month or two, just to see like direct how
Yeah,
this sake server directly correlates to the amount of room crash.
yeah. I don't know. Like
That might be something interesting.
something. There could have been a bug when implementing one of these upgrades, and it never got addressed. But like even if they can't find the bug, um, CGGP has Smart Suspend, and I know that CT rooms have not been crashing as often as they used to ever since
Oh,
Smart
that's
Suspend got
yep.
put in.
That's
So
true.
if stability is a main concern for regular tracks, which it seems like it is according to Lezerod's post, that stability is prioritized over VR, then put Smart Suspend in for regular track rooms. We had
Yeah,
that
I think.
we had that update to where they have like this on the fly patching now for
Yeah.
Weemfi. It forced everybody to get a new patcher, which I think was brilliant.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so just add Smart Suspend in an on the fly update.
I think. Yeah, it's definitely what's needed. It's like the fact that C2 worldwides don't even crash that often is just solid proof that Smart Suspend is very helpful. It's why like the competitive community is also taking good steps with this type of thing as well, considering this, the slow transition to getting stuff to go to CTGP only.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
Yeah,
I remember correctly, a reg track worldwide will only have smart suspend if the host is running CTGP.
I thought that was
Mm.
VR search only.
Is that VR search? I thought it was smart suspend as well. Is that what it is?
I think
Is it
it's
just VR
I think it's
search?
VR search and engine class, right? If the host,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like, I don't know. It might have smart suspend too. That's something I'd
I
have to
forget.
ask Bean, but like, I feel like smart suspend should just be global at this point.
Zach,
I
oh
agree.
wait, Zach, I was saying I don't I think I might have been wrong with this. Zach, I was asking whether if a reg track worldwide host was running CTGP, whether it would also run smart suspend in that room. I don't know if that's the case. I doubt it's the case. I think it might just be the engine class and the
VR.
VR search thing. That might just be what it is. I think it.
I
Oh,
remember I had a conversation with one of my friends in Aruba. He mentioned actually the idea of a CTGP only, just Wi-Fi being CTGP only completely. Uh, which I think that could maybe help with the whole if it's like how in CT worldwide there's
the,
less room
the
crashes
problem with
that
that
might be able
is the problem with that is you'll have players who don't even want to participate in any of the competitive events where anti-cheat is necessary, and they just want to play, and they don't want to buy a Wii. Uh,
yeah.
I think they should be allowed to play. I think Dolphin and whatnot, they should be allowed to use that, because I get why Mogi Lounge is going CGGP only. It's a competitive venue. They want to make cheating impossible, and with same with Weamfi League, it makes sense for it to go CGGP only. But to have the entire Weamfi server be CGGP only is a stretch, and it's something I would definitely not agree with.
That was like my counter argument to exactly what he said too, because there's some people who can't afford like buying Mario Kart Wii
Yeah,
and a Wii who want to enjoy it, and they
yeah,
only have say like a school given computer to play
yeah,
it on or something
and
like that.
you like the argument for like Weamfi League and like Mogi Lounge is, well, if you want to put your if you want to commit to a uh, competitive event, then you should spend the money,
Yeah.
especially if you've been playing the game a long time.
yeah.
Because you probably do have the money, and you're gonna commit to the event. If you're gonna commit to the event, which is gonna take hours of your life, you might as well get the system, you know.
hmm
But if you're just playing worldwides or you're doing fun rooms, and it's not like high commitment, then they shouldn't be forced to buy a Wii.
I
That's
I
agree.
agree with
yeah,
that.
that's my
That's
opinion
fair.
on it.
Because at the end of the day, playing this game is really about having fun, and some
Mm-hmm.
people don't find playing in, say, Mogi Lounge or in competitive scenes. And
Yeah.
so, if say the only way you can play CTs is with CTGP, I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
if
That's
if you're
that's
trying to play
correct.
regs, everyone
Yeah.
can just kind of join and have a good time. I think that's really how it just
Mm-hmm.
boils down. Because it's not the whole game, the whole community scene isn't competitive.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone wants to be
And
matched against
the whole
other people.
scene isn't casual either. I feel like the middle ground
Exactly.
is the most ignored piece of the community, but the middle ground also had some of the most creative people, some of the most laid back people, and
hmm
since they're not being catered to at all because worldwides are not as fun due to the lack of VR search, which causes imbalanced items, unenjoyable rooms. These people just leave the game in droves. Uh, a lot of my friends, uh, Sierra, Astro, I consider them like competitive casual. They don't really want to do the try hard, grind MMR, play wars. They want to have a good time against other skilled players, like in
hmm
worldwides or in a fun room. There are a few other players like that who kind of quit the game. Sean Falla Flame, you remember him, Emil?
Yeah.
Yeah, him. Um, uh, there's these community servers I'm in, and a lot of these players they play a variety of different games, but when they want to pick up Mario Kart, since they have the experience, they want the competitive casual experience because they have the skill, they just don't want to really try hard. So
hmm
Yeah.
worldwide's, being more enjoyable would help get that portion of the community to come back.
Agreed.
hmm
Uh, some of those people were I had the most fun calls with as well. So
Yeah. That was definitely a lot. Wow.
Yeah, it was about an hour and 20 minutes. I'm still trying to figure out what my last point was going to be besides item balance issues. I guess it was carts. Like Astro brought up carts. When you're in a unoptimal vehicle and you don't have power items, you're gonna struggle so hard.
Yeah.
So you're kind of forced to choose a viable vehicle, and that also makes Worldwides not as fun because you have less freedom.
Agreed.
Like with the balance item system, more vehicles have a chance of succeeding.
Yeah. That's that's what's great about this game.
Yeah. We also touched on getting lapped. There are some players who, after they're lapped, they'll just stop. And then, as a moderator, I have to kick them because they're starting to disrupt the race. And it's like, I don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather they be in a room where they can keep up, and I don't have to kick them.
Mm-hmm.
I explained net negotiation, or did you want me to explain something else? I'm pretty sure I explained net neg.
Yeah, I think you explained it well.
Yeah. It's a fairly good explanation of it overall. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Larry, that's very true. It's definitely really hard to appeal to non-binary gamers. Pretty sure Erratic, you and Made can agree with this as well.
Oh yeah, it's difficult, but when we had Wi-Fi connection, they enjoyed the game. They were around, and also at the start of Weemfi, they were around as well. But with these room crashes and just the increase in players and the imbalance to items in the room, they lost interest. It'd be nice to get them back.
I think that like this big, it's I don't know, like all the people who just kind of want to have fun. The sweaty people, like the tryhards, they kind of just take away from the whole aspect of enjoying something, like enjoying Mario Kart Wii, which is the whole goal when you're trying to play.
Sometimes they
people,
do, and sometimes they don't. Like there are some players in Mogi Lounge who are very laid back people, and they're pretty fun people, but they prefer the environment that's high octane, and that's fine. But the people who are just toxic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of. I remember when I first had joined Moki Lounge and the competitive community, I was I wasn't that great. I would score like 20 overall in lounges.
Yeah, I do feel like,
and I remember
players who do more of the high octane events are more vocal negatively towards players who don't know what they're doing. Like, yeah, there's also players who are respectful, but there's also that vocal minority who make the new players kind of feel like shit. But that's kind of a topic for a different video. We kind of covered that in a different podcast, so I don't really want to go too off topic here. What I want to do is have anyone who's still at the chat offer anything that we may have not covered about VR search yet.
Yeah, guys. Any inquiries you guys may have, questions, comments that you might want us to address, let us know in chat at this time. We have gone over all our main points. If you guys want to touch bases on any of that, do let us know. Regional races. That is a very different story.
Regional races.
People still cross over to Jap regs. Huh. That's new information for me.
I think regionals are dead because worldwides aren't that played. And because you have a lack of worldwide rooms, you're not going to see that many regional rooms either. I think that's just the main thing. I think if we had a more enjoyable experience for worldwides where the items are balanced due to a matchmaking algorithm that works, then you would start seeing more regionals pop up from time to time. They're not going to be as prevalent as they were on Wi-Fi connection, obviously, but I feel like they would increase in frequency.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you guys know if battle rooms crash often whenever they start?
I don't think so.
I haven't ever played an online battle on WeFi.
I'm just wondering if part of the reason why battles are dead is not just due to the lack of interest, but
they do die a lot, Zach. Oh,
they do die. So
Zach says
if battle rooms are crashing a lot, I can see why they're dead. So if Smart Suspend or whatever can help battle rooms as well, that'd be good for that side of the community. I know a lot of casual competitive players loved battle as well. So yeah, like the whole battle scene is kind of just extinct almost. Like you have the very small amount of players who still exist, like ISA, right? But there's not that many. But that's kind of a topic for like another podcast. In fact, like we could probably bring a battler as a guest and maybe talk. That'd be a cool idea.
That'd be nice.
I would watch that.
Yeah, talk about the battle scene a little bit.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
What is this, Mr. Zachary? Let's see. What is this?
Zach, I looked at DMs. I see what you posted, but like, I already know about that. It's just that we haven't got any updates on it, right? It's like what's the status update for that? That's what I want to know. What's the status?
Oh, Japan is used way more often. Jeez.
Oh, he sent you something different.
Yeah, he sent. Let me put it in here.
No, I'll show you what he sent me. He sent me.
This is what he sent me just now.
He sent me this
in my chat.
He sent me that.
Huh.
As you can see, that really big paragraph near the bottom.
Yep.
Like I asked Lizarot, what's the status for that? And when that gets done, maybe things will be better. But I still think VR should take priority over stability. Because we are still getting these really imbalanced rooms. And they're not fun.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. It's facts.
Yeah.
Let's see, are there any more inquiries coming for your guys' chats, or?
I don't see
my
any.
My chat's arguing right now.
Arguing. Oh no.
Yeah.
What about your chat, Emil?
I'm not really seeing too many inquiries about.
All right. Well, if no one else has anything else to say on the topic, then we'll catch you guys in the next one. It'll either be about battle or it'll be about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might stream again later, but it's not going to be a podcast. It's probably just going to be gameplay. It's going to be the new game that I bought, Ace Combat 7. Great game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do a MKW drama alert.
MKW drama alert.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. No.
We don't need to talk. We don't need to talk
Lifted.
about
Lifted did a really good job on drama alert. You got to.
Oh god.
Check out his channel, Joe Eric Owens on YouTube. He did one about like Unbroken versus Lost Legends in the finals or something.
Geez.
It was either it was Lost Legends. So yeah, that.
No, I mean, we just need to like. No, I think I mean, I think Zach's is way more. It would be way more interesting to look at because Blaze is still permabanned from Weemfly.
That's tough. I
Like,
feel bad.
like the T tier Blaze. That's what I'm talking about. Like the
What?
ones
Yeah,
who have-
I know.
Should we? So we should talk about that next time.
I feel like that. Probably.
Okay, we can talk about that one.
We can go. We'll go like
Um,
touch a little bit of basis on that.
It wouldn't be a very long podcast though. Like
Yeah,
it's a very narrowed topic. I feel like it could be like a small portion of a stream that's meant for a different topic.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well just give some background real quick though, because like basically, Blaze. So if you guys know, there are Weemfly competitions similar to the tournaments we had back in the days. You know, stuff like Wario's Goldmine Wiggler. You know, everyone. Yeah. So the one that was going on was the BC Wii one, the one with the added obstacles and stuff like that. And basically, Blaze got a 212 on that competition. And according to Weem's little system or something like that, a 212 was humanly impossible to get. So, Blaze ended up getting permabanned from Weemfi, which makes no sense whatsoever.
It doesn't. At that point, it's just like kind of an abuse of power kind of thing.
Apparently, there was some like problem with how it tracks checkpoints or something for competitions. Zach would have to elaborate on that one, but there was some kind of thread about that. But yeah, since the system itself had an error, Blaze should not be banned still. That's my take on it. But you know,
Especially for such a stupid reason that.
anyways, this was a good podcast. I kept my energy up. I didn't have as much stuttering. That was good.
That's good, yeah.
I also had a nice breakfast.
Thank you guys for.
Oh.
And thank you guys for having me on this. I really appreciate it.
No. It was cool. Like we wanted to have a different take on things, and you expressed interest in it, and yeah.
I think that might be all we have to do for today.
No, yeah, that's it.
I
So,
think so.
thanks for watching, guys. Next topic will either be battle or it might be some different. But
You guys want to plug your Twitch accounts real fast for those who are still here?
I'm gonna be linking this podcast on the Weemfi, the Wii Homebrew site, because it needs to be paid attention to.
Yeah.
Also, guys, if you could spread this podcast around, get it some traction, because VR search is a big issue. The statistics of the VR search survey point to it being a big issue. 700 people want it, so yeah. Yeah. Alright, this has been dragging on, so...
Alright, yeah. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching.
Right.
Go check out Madeville and Erratic on Twitch.
Yep.
And I will see you guys later. Peace out.
See you later.